Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Made with Love. My name is Heather and I'm going to be making this Betty Crocker Cinnamon Toast Crunch Cake. I found this at one of the dollar stores. Hey kitty, come here. Oh, go off the counter, come on, off the counter. So I found this at one of the dollar stores. I haven't seen them since. I just grabbed one box. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to taste. So here we go. Well, I'll make it tonight and see. So for this you need 1 cup of water, half a cup of vegetable oil, and 3 eggs. I'm actually going to make mine with milk. I always found that making my cakes with milk versus water just made them so much thicker and creamier. Oh, I can't get this open. One cup of milk and half a cup of oil. So I'm just going to pour my 1 cup of milk. And I'm going to pour about half of it out. Just because I always find that with the oils, I always get stuck in my measuring cup. So I always like to do a little bit of water or milk with my oil. And then just makes it easier to clean because then the oil doesn't coat the hole inside of the container. Now this egg, I dropped this one. I was getting it out, so I'm just going to be careful with that. 1, 2, 3 eggs. I'm just going to stir this in. I have my cooking spray. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be a greased pan or ungreased, so I just for aluminum or glass pan. Okay, heat your oven to 350 for aluminum or glass pan, or 350 for a non-stick pan. Grease bottom only of a 9x13 pan, or bottom and sides of all other pans. So I'm doing it in a 9x13, so I guess I only have to grease the bottom of the pan. So that was one thing. I always forget if I need it to be a greased pan or ungreased pan, so I bring out the cooking spray and then I will, if I know it has to be greased, I'll grease it. If I'm not sure, I'll just wait. This is all mixed in here. So it just says the bottom of the pan. Just little bits of things in this, bits of flour. When I opened up the cake mix, I guess. Kind of went up the sides a little. I don't know, it's okay. Just wanted to grease it good. And just pour it in the pan, and then it bakes for about 20 minutes. So I'll just go put this in my preheated oven. I've already got my oven preheated to 350. So I'll be back in about 20 minutes when the cake is done and ready to come out. Okay, the cake's been in the oven 20 minutes. I'm just gonna test Yeah, it looks like it is done. So I'm gonna let the cake cool and I'll come back and make the icing. Right, so my cake is cooling, so I've decided to make a really quick, easy brown sugar icing. I love these, they're just so easy to do. So in my saucepan, I'm adding half a cup of butter. I've got all my ingredients pre-measured out for this recipe. Find how fast this goes, like once this butter melts, and it just takes a few minutes to get everything incorporated. Just goes so fast that I don't really have time to do much measuring. So I'm just gonna get the butter here to melt over a medium heat. I've got it a little bit higher just so it can start to melt, and as soon as the butter starts to really melt, I'll turn it down. I'm just trying to get everything organized. So I've got my stuff laid out so I know what step goes which. I'm one of those people who, once I've got all the ingredients measured out in front of me, if I don't have them in the right order, I might mess up. Okay, so, and I think the longest it takes is just to get this butter melted. So now I'm going to turn it down because it is starting to melt now. So just want it over a medium heat. I'm using a larger pot. Probably don't need a pot this big, but I prefer, my other pot is just a little small. It might be just the right size. So I'd rather use a pot that's just a little bit deeper than I really need. Just because I haven't made this recipe for a while, and I usually make a big double batch of this. Okay, so butter is nearly melted. So into this I'm adding 1 full cup of packed brown sugar. Stir this in, get the nice brown sugar glaze. I thought this would be a perfect icing for the cinnamon toast crunch cake. Continuously stir, or else you're going to melt the brown sugar. Still got some butter in there that hasn't fully melted yet. So just gotta give that another minute or so. Just gonna break up those chunks. I mean, my butter was straight, well, I guess I'm using margarine. It was straight from the fridge. Normally if I was gonna be doing this, I would have my butter kind of sitting out for a little bit when I'm making icing, but I figured I'm heating it on the stove. It can just go, straight from the fridge, straight into the pot. So now that's all melted together. I got a nice syrup. I've got to get this back to a boil. It's hard to get a boil on medium heat. I'm just going to turn it up. Oops, not down. I'm just going to turn it up to 7. It's a little bit high, but I just want to get this. This is like a nice, like it coats the bottom, it comes away from the sides really good. It's like a good syrup. So now just a little bit of butter still stuck into the spoon. Just get that off. Okay. Now to this, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of milk and a little bit of vanilla. I never measure my vanilla. I just kind of give myself like a good capful. And now just stir this in. And this you have to stir constantly. You just have to get it to come up to a boil. It's probably going to take about 3 to 5 minutes. constantly stir. Scraping down the side just because sometimes the brown sugar just kind of goes up the sides, and just all, but I can hear it starting to boil. Hard to probably see. I'm not quite sure how to angle this, but it's just starting to boil. So I gotta get it to just where it's just starting to boil. It's just such a bad angle of my camera. You can probably hear it starting to boil. That's why I said I should have put it in a smaller pan, but I just didn't. It's been a while since I've made this, so I wasn't sure how much when I'm cooking with milk and I have to have it come to a boil, how it goes really foamy. So I'd rather have it in a larger pot than too small of a pot. I'll try to do that so you can see it starting to boil and kind of do that foaming. Just do like a good, you know, if you're making candy, you want that, caramels and stuff. So that everything is starting to boil and it's starting to foam. I don't know what the different stages of candy are called. I just kind of know what they look like. Let's see if I hold this up like this. There, see? You want it to do this for a couple minutes. I don't want it to burn. So I'm just going to turn the heat off. I'm going to take this off the heat now, and I've got to let this sit. I got to let it come down in temperature to a cooler room temperature now. I'm constantly stirring. Just got to cool down, and so I'll be back when it's cooled down, and then we'll add the 2 cups of icing sugar. So it has cooled down to like room temperature, so I can touch the pot. So the last final thing to add is 2 cups of icing sugar sifted. So I've got my sifter here, and I've got 2 cups of icing sugar. I'm gonna pour it in here. And sift it in. Sifter's not working very good. I think my other sifter actually did break on me, so that's one of the new next things I'll have to get is a new sifter. Although I have the sifter that's on my stand mixer, KitchenAid stand mixer. I have the sifter thing, and I use that, but I find in making stuff where I'm not using the my stand mixer, then I find this really helpful. And I know I'm trying not to get lumps in there, but stuff just gets stuck everywhere. Trying not to make a mess. Okay, now I'm just going to stir the icing sugar in here. I got to get a better camera system for when I'm making certain foods. I know that. That is one of the things that is on my list of things to get. There we go. I'm just going to stir this in. stir till all the icing sugar is incorporated. Okay, now I'm just going to grab another cake here. And I'm just going to grab a little spatula. I don't know, it's a word I use a lot, but I don't use a lot, so I forget what it's called. Okay, so I'm just going to pour this right on top. And as it cools, it's going to get a nice, hard, crunchy top. And so with all the different icings I could make, I just thought that the brown sugar was just the best one for on top of this cake. It's going to be a lot of sugar. It's the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cake. And then I'm making a brown sugar icing. The icing covers the whole cake. And I'd love to sample this cake, but I don't have time. I'm watching the clock. My daughter and my husband are both at work. I gotta leave very soon to get them. It's taking me all day to make supper and this cake. I'm just gonna let this sit and just harden up. And when I come back, I will slice into the cake so you can see how it looks once the icing has had the time it needs to get that hard top. I mean, you can eat it the way it is now. I do like it both ways, but sometimes I like if you just wait an hour after you ice it before you cut into it, and then you get that almost like a brownie icing effect. If it sets properly, not guaranteed every time. So I'll be back in about an hour-ish to cut into the cake. So here's the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cake with the brown sugar icing. I'm just gonna place into this, giving it time for the icing to actually harden. It's gonna get that really nice icing on top. It's kind of like that brownie type of an icing. There we go. This to lift up. Looks so good. It is so good. You can really definitely taste the cinnamon. Too bad I was only ever able to find one box of this kind of cake. If I ever find it again, I'm definitely going to buy more of it. And my pot is just breaking on me tonight. So that is my Cinnamon Toast Crunch cake with the brown sugar icing. Again, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who's subscribing to my channels and watching my videos, and I'll see you in the next ones. Bye.